Namaste, I'm Doran, and as we begin this sequence class, I want to make sure you come to the mat with a little bit of time warmed up, moving, so you have some fluidity already in your body, not just stiff. If you're still coming to this just from the beginning, take a little time, maybe watch one of my earlier warm-up sequences, and then get ready to do some more vigorous movement. We're going to be focusing on balance poses, standing balance in particular. And this is a way for us to recognize that when there's a lot going on out there, we have the opportunity to choose what is the state of being that we want to be in when we deal with it. So standing balances require a little bit of that inward pulse of energy, holding on, maybe a little bit of courage too. So I'm also going to invite you to have a chair handy. Maybe you could use a prop to keep steady. You might see I'll turn and use what's around me. And, I've come with a number of surgeries going on in my legs, back, knee, and whatnot. So I know what it's like to have limited capacity, but I also know what it's like to feel like you just want to go full expression. So you choose the level of practice that works well for you. So just take a moment just in the standing mountain prayer. Now release your hands and take a moment just to kind of soften out. Do little rolls through your hips. And place your feet so they're just hip width wide. We're working on creating a stable drawing in from the outside to the midline, the center. This is pulling in. This is drawing the parts in. And we're going to just take our hands to our thighs, slide the seat down and back, and press down into your knees and get a good stretch in your low back. So on the side, there's a ski jump, little lumbar curve. Well, at least as best of a curve as you can get. I'm very tight there. So this feels wonderful for my practice, my body. Lift, and do gentle little sways from side to side. And now take your feet to the edges of your mat if you're facing my direction, or just a little bit wider than your hips. Hi Kitty, join us. Come on in. Get a good stretch. And a push down into the top of your knees. So we're pulling in for grounding, lifting up, hips back. And now left. Keep the width of your leg in that grounding in your feet, but just roll through your hips. We're going to be doing some stretching out, lateral openings. But we're keeping the feet very much anchored. Pull them in. Draw in all these parts, so there's a lot going on. And then reach up with your right arm and start to arch out. Now I like to shift my hips a little to the side and then drop down. And then press and stretch. Now, keep pulling in so you're making that connection and rooting it back down into the earth. That's going to dictate how long you could be in that state of quietude while you stretch and maybe even take it deeper. But make sure you do this based on what you are feeling. Integration and safety first. And then lift, keep the tone in the belly. Come out. Take a moment. Use the breath to calm and keep you centered. So we're not just rushing into these poses. We're doing it mindfully, so it's always life affirming and never doing harm. Stretch out to the side as you lift left arm up, and just exploring your pace, the squeezing in, the toning, inner thighs back, tailbone down, and the big stretch out. It just organically opens you up to your natural edge, and even the edge that might be expanding. Come up slow and steady. And release down. With your feet still grounded, be fluid in your hips, your waist, and your shoulders. And then just let that steady. Step your feet in. Breathe. Now lift your toes like they're big talons on the toes of a bird, and then set them back down. Say you've energized those muscles on the outer shins, the inner shins. You draw that in, you draw in towards yourself. Like the bark hugging onto a tree. This outward energy hugs in tight to the core of your inner light, connecting all the parts. So even though there's a lot going on, all this full integration, you could stand in the inner light. And now release that. Soften. Soften. Let's take this lateral stretch wide again, but this time we're going to add a balance. So I'm going to introduce the use of a chair as a prop, so you can recognize that maybe even with the support of a tool, you can go into these poses and maintain that sense of safety. Now you want to make sure you have your chair so it doesn't slide, and never use a chair with rollers or wheels. So here, I'm going to have you stand with your feet wide with or without the use of a wall or a chair. Arms to the sky. Pull the parts into the center, all the way from your fingers. They draw in towards your belly, up from your feet. So that you're this beautiful vortex of energy in your waistline, right in that pelvic focal point. The energy pulls in and then pulses back out. Now, tip and just lift the heel on your left leg. And then here you're squeezing in energetically. And then you can play with possibly lifting your toe. You know, maybe it's challenging for you, like it is for me. So you could possibly hold it, or you just keep the toe down. And then come out. Second side. Now here's where the chair might come in for someone like myself who's had hip surgeries. You could reach out and lift. So I'm still squeezing in. I'm still practicing integration. Though it's just not maybe as gracefully balanced as maybe when I practiced 20 years ago. So part of my balance is recognizing where I am in this current moment and state of being. Come out when you're ready. Breathe. Come into the supported chair pose here, and alternately from a side view, you can come here and have an arm on your chair or on a wall. There's lots of variations you can do here, but remember we're doing it to keep a sense of integration, pulling the parts in and staying calm with that muscle energy, holding and embracing us. And then I'll even change sides, and you can do the same if you like, if you're using a prop, or you could just stay with your arms down at the top of your knees. And now lift all the way up. And take a moment, move. Okay, set this out of the way for the moment. We're going to come down and we're going to start to do some deeper hip opening work, doing what is called figure 4 chair pose. And I'm going to do a quick demonstration of that front and to the side, and then we'll do it together. To come into the pose, you start on hands and knees. You slide your knee forward and then cross it over. Keep your hips above the knees. And then you reach and push back. All right? I'm going to demonstrate second side on the face view. Slide forward, cross, and then pull back. So your ankle presses into the front of your thigh, and your knee is directly across. Reach and stretch. And then as you release, you just walk back. And then come with a lift and come on down. All right. So we're going to start by taking the right leg forward. Slide the right knee forward. And then just cross over a little bit.
pull back, and then stretch to your delight. I like to pulse a little bit here, so add that little lift and dropping of your belly. You keep pulling the parts in, and you'll find that you could reach and expand and even be more artistic. And you lift and take your hands back. Now, a little trick to come out of this pose is to lift towards a gentle down dog and then lower your knee. And then now we're going to slide your left knee forward. So with your left knee out in front, you pull back, reach and stretch. Take your time to pulse. We're just opening the upper back here, pulling in to lift your heart. Now we're going to come back to a downward dog. So just lift. Make sure your hands are at the front of your mat. Your feet are back. Take a little while just to roll and stretch. Walk your feet up as gracefully as you can. And then just kind of stretch it out. I'm going to bring my chair back into the equation here because we're going to work with figure 4 as a standing balance poses. One of the standing balance poses. So I want you to squat. Now, options are work just in the floor, lifting and coming up to cross if you can. It's challenging for me. Or use a prop. Now you could turn and use the wall equally as well. So you lift, ankle right on the front, your standing leg, and I'm just playing with the drop of my seat down. And as my seat drops, keep the tailbone dropping down, shoulders going back so the heart stays open. So as we play with these balancing stretches, they can be kind of challenging, and you want to keep the heart open during challenging times. And lift. Second side. Now you can keep your chair or the prop on the same side, or you could turn and rotate. But for filming purposes, I'll just stay like this. And you can drop. Now if you are open and balanced, you may take your other hand towards your heart too. And just play with that. But see, falling out, the world doesn't end. You just come back, smile, and you come back to where you were. And that's practicing grace. Lift up. And if there's anything I have learned in my decades on planet Earth, is that we're always faced with some challenge. There's always something going on that could really shake you at your roots. But we are always faced with the opportunity to structure a way that we choose to respond to what is unfolding. So it is in the practice, here on the mat, that we're training ourselves to get into that perspective that we get to choose how we're being. And in that choosing, there's empowerment, because we are very often not in control of situations, but we are in control of how we can cultivate, craft a responsible way of being on planet Earth, and then stay in that place. And freedom comes from that. The heart stays open. All right. Now we're going to do a flowing sequence, or vinyasa, connected consciousness through movement. So in this vinyasa, we're going to be coming to Warrior 2, side angle plank, back to Warrior 2, Goddess Warrior. Okay. So step your left leg back, press the heel back, hip rolls around. And before we go too deep into the pose, you just land for a moment, let your breath settle. And now, keeping the roll of your back leg, tailbone dropping down and the knee in front opening. Roll your shoulders. So your warrior two is pulling in from all the things going on in the periphery of your life, pulling into your heart, the center of your being, so you can ride that wave of divine power, even if we don't know where it's taken us. We stay present with this, connected to grace. Now, slowly tip into this. Take your forearm down to your thigh and overhead. If you're feeling more stable and that you want to take your challenge a little deeper, your arm can go to the outside of the leg and maybe reach and slide down. But for now, if this is working for you, just stay there. And then keeping your thighs and your legs where they are, grounded and steady, lift. Take a breath in, moving to goddess warrior pose, tip back with your down arm, keep an arch, keep an open heart, and back to warrior two. Release, and we're just going to straighten the front leg, turn, and step forward, or if you're on your mat and lengthwise here, just come to the other side. Pull in. Use that steadiness to open your heart. Enjoy. Warrior two. Goddess warrior. Straighten your front leg, release, and step forward. And take a moment just to shake your legs loose. Pause for a drink of water if you want. All right. Now we're going to be expanding our balance. So first we're going to work with a pose called standing crane. And I'll bring the chair back in. Again, it can be an option for you to get your steadiness, your balance. So standing crane is to lift out either with both arms or with the support of the chair, and then lift your foot and pull in. It's that pulling in that connects you to the center. And the expansion down through your standing leg can help you hold the pose. There you go, release that. And second side, step the left leg forward, arms out. Pull in, pull all that's going on into yourself. Embrace it all. And then lift. You take your hands to your heart or just step down and always have a smile on your face. I meant to do that. There you go. So we're going to go a little bit deeper into a stretch. And again, I'm glad I have my support here, because what I'm doing is, just watch for a second. I'm having you lift up and pull back. Then when you pull back, slide your hand down your ankle and pull your knee back and your heel towards your seat. Then release. And take a moment. We're going to go for the other side. Find another prop here, my piano. Lift. Pull in. And pull in your heel towards your seat. Press your knee back. And into your standing leg down into the earth. release all the way down. And take a moment to let go. Right. Now, as we lift up, we're going to pull the knee in. We're going to take the same side arm on the inside, so you reach down to the little toe and press down. Now, either you can attempt doing this just standing on the mat with no support, or like me, with the support of a chair or a wall. And gradually, as you get the sense of pushing down, then you start to push forward and open out. Now, if your hand's on a support or a wall, you can maybe just play the lifting game or not and come back in. And we're going to do that. Second side, left leg up. Pull back. Reach down. And as if you're stepping down on a very high step, use that to connect down into the earth. And stay there or begin to expand forward and out. And again, you can do this with the support of a chair or wall, or without. Have a sense of humor. Oh, yes. And I'll shake that out. Okay. So we're moving towards a beautiful pose called Anusara, or dancing Shiva. And it requires reaching back to grab your foot and to lift and balance. So I want to take just a moment to get a little bit more of that quality of reaching the shoulders back to open you up. So I want you to come on your mat with your left leg back and your forearm down to your thigh. In this supported side angle pose, we're pulling in, but I want you to roll the top shoulder back and drop it behind your waistline. Now I'm going to turn so you can see this from the back side. You're pulling in, tailbone drops, shoulders back. Here. Now some of you might reach to your thigh, or just pressing back here, or even hand on the hip. You want to be rolling the shoulder back as you scoop the tailbone down. There you go. That gets the shoulders opening. And you'll see why now. So, we're going to either stand on the mat or without a support. You're going to lift and pull up into your belly, then root back down. Then lift up. Now I'm going to use a support. Slide your hand down. Pull in all that's going on into your heart and hold it. And then play with balancing with it. Play with your response. And maybe you could even take it into further art. Play with that pose as long as you like. Hold it, or just come on out. And then come on down now. We're going to do the second side. So you will be lifting up with your right leg. Find your balance. And take your hand to your hip for ankle. And you just press back. And release when you're ready. You know, there's times in my life where I was full in the big expression of that pose, standing balanced, and just loving the glory of that. I love that. But I also love where I am now. So I've gone through the steps and the stages of being present all those days, and now I'm very present in this day, this age, this physical condition, these social conditions that we're dealing with. These are all the different pieces that there are lots going on that we're pulling in to integrate. We may not be able to make mental sense of it all, but we know that we're riding a wave, and it's all divine light. It's all divine Shakti flowing in a direction. Whether we know where the current's taken us, it doesn't really matter. We be in the present moment, in the heart, making the optimal choices and the most wisest choices that we can. So let's take a couple moments now just to come down, get seated, and get comfortable, and then we'll be doing some cooling down stretches.
So as we come out of our standing poses and balances, I want you to take a couple moments just to sit steady, grounded, with your right knee down, left leg out in front. I choose to sit on a block to elevate my hips, to make my low back feel better. If you feel good sitting just directly on your mat, you can do that or put a small pillow underneath. So start to just lean into it. We're going to lift the left arm and just kind of melt it out in front. Now some of the stretches we're going to do would yield themselves really well to having a strap. So I have one handy here to use in my stretch. I'm going to just get it ready unfolded. If you're able to grab your foot and reach and extend out, yay, you do that without a strap. But some of us need a little extra help. So you just kind of lean into this, and we're going to just start by just holding on to the little toe side of that right foot. So over the top to the little toe, lift. And we're pulling in to create this steadiness, drawing the multiple parts into the center, into the radiant heart. And now release that down. We're going to go into steps doing this. So on this side, as we change, I'm going to use the strap to show you that maybe you might feel better putting a strap on the arch of your foot and holding on somewhere around like here. So when we start by just reaching forward, find a grip, and lift, and then pull back. And release, and come forward. So now we're ready to expand on that. We're pulling in all these diverse parts so we can take it bigger, more expressive, more artistic. Lean in, lift up, and as you pull back, push your big toe forward, pull the little toe towards your shoulder, and then start to open up, just pressing out. Keep that steady vertical line. If you find yourself crouching a little bit, pull back a little bit, don't reach so far. And by no means overstretch your hamstring muscles here. So be your own best advocate. Lift your heart, shine as bright as you feel. Lift your arms. And the movement themselves, the physical poses, have a way of pulling in prana or life force energy. It helps the mood, helps your immune system, helps you to keep your heart open under circumstances that are trying at times in life. Come to the center. Now I'll come to the side just to show you. That's that beautiful lifting pose called Kranchasana, heron pose. And then release all the way out. Take a moment now to come to the other side here. And on this side, I'm going to demonstrate it with a strap because we'll be extending the leg out. So as you lean forward, lift, get set up first, pulling your big toe back. And then you gradually push forward and out. And you can let the strap slide through your hand as you'd like. So you have your thumb on the top side reaching down. And you lift and you expand and you radiate from the heart out. So much going on, but you can choose to create balance and radiance out of it. And then release that all the way down. Take a moment. Now I want you to come all the way down to your back. And as you settle down, take a few moments just to do any little movements, stretches, or rolls that help you feel at ease and supported. Maybe let your breath catch up. You could lift your feet and pull your knees towards your outer shoulders and do little rolls. You could even make little circular motions with your knees, one direction and then the other. And now we're just going to come back and to do a little bit more. So I want you to drop, tipping your knees down towards the left. And again, I'm mirroring you. And then lift up. Tip your knees to the right. And then come back to center. We're going to do a figure 4 action with the left leg. You lift it up and place the ankle in front of the knee. And add a little forward push to open up your thigh bone a little bit further away from the hip socket. And now release that push, and we're going to thread the needle through to your right thigh. So draw breath in, a little bit of a crunch action. You can lift your shoulders, lift your foot, and then pull back on the front or on the back side of your hamstring. Now, explore whether having your heel level like this feels best or whether lifting up straight. And gradually you want to settle your head back down, your shoulders down, and as you pull, you lift radiantly from your heart. You pull all these pieces into your center. There's a lot going on in a pose like this. You get to choose how you respond, how you are in the moment, how you're being. And then release that down. Take a few moments to roll and tip all the way down to your right with a big rolling stretch. You can even reach your arm overhead or just out to the side. And then come to your back. Couple little movements. Take your right ankle in front of your left knee. Add a little forward push. Keep your shoulders dropping and your breastbone lifting up a low back curve in place. Release that down and then lift, extend up, pull back, and you can even use your elbow to push into your crossed over thigh. There's lots going on, so you get to choose. Lift if you like, stretch. And then release. Come all the way down, windshield wiper swipes. We're going to do extended leg lifts. So I'm going to use a strap, if I can find it, where we're going to, either you use a strap, where we're going is just to lift up here. Now I find that a strap helps me quite a bit to relax. So I'm putting a strap right to the arch of my right foot, left leg out. If you could hold on to your thigh, calf, ankle, or toes without the use of the strap, go for that. If you want to just relax a little bit more, a strap will give you a little bit more ease. If you don't have a strap, you could use a belt or an old tie, anything that you can imagine to come up with. And stay as long as you like. Come out when you're ready. You can even pull back and push at the same time to engage your belly. And then change sides. Try to keep your arms as straight as possible, reaching up towards your foot. That way you can pull deeper down because the rooting the shoulders back down into the earth. So that pulling from the periphery to the core creates a centering of all these disparate parts. So you can be radiant and steady and expansive in your pose, regardless of the level of your physical condition. So we honor it. Your pose might look like this, and that could be just perfect for you. And then take a few moments just to move in any way you'd like. Stay on your back, stretch and roll. Do any final little pose that might feel great to be expressed right now. As we wind down at the end of this session, I want your body to feel at ease and complete with the movement it wants to do. And then gradually you just lay on your back with your arms by your side, palms up. You can use blocks underneath your legs or underneath your feet or supporting your knees if you like. Or you can put pillows, rolled up towels or blankets. And as you lay still here, I just want you to melt down into the earth. Just feel that you're being held and supported by the planet. Feel her love and grace, her life force energy rise up into you. You've offered your movement, your steadiness, your willingness to be open to all the things that are going on that you may not have a sense of where it's going to take you. Life is always the complex balance of being present, in balance, and equilibrium, so we can hold on to a state of grace even as things get shaky or challenging in life. So now just honor the practice that you've done, the rest and the time that you've given yourself. Stay as long as you like in your Shavasana. I bless and honor your presence on this planet, the aspect of myself that knows it to be divine and belonging, bows in honor and recognition of that same belonging, an aspect of the highest within you. Namaste.